The strongest men aren't loud, they're calm, focused, and unshakable. Want to be one of them? Most people go through life believing that their emotions are in control because that's the only pattern they've ever followed. They experience a trigger, and they respond with instinct. There's no pause, no distance, no room to choose a better course. And over time, this repetition becomes identity. The reactive man becomes a prisoner of his habits. The philosophy of Stoicism introduces a fundamental shift. It tells you that the power doesn't belong to what happens to you. It belongs to what you do next. Every single event in your day, no matter how small or intense, presents an opportunity to pause. And in that pause, you create a new outcome. One not governed by old patterns, but by your present awareness. The mind that isn't trained will always be a slave to reaction. The mind that is trained understands this. Emotion is not the problem. The problem is how undisciplined minds act upon it. Anger, fear, frustration, impatience. None of these are inherently wrong, but when they're allowed to lead, the consequences rarely serve you. This is where the Stoic mindset begins to form. It's not a matter of suppressing how you feel, but of recognizing it without letting it command you. You develop a type of mental alertness that observes the sensation but refuses to follow it blindly. This practice separates the average from the composed, the unstable from the unshakable. A man committed to self-mastery doesn't eliminate emotion. He learns to witness it rise, stay present through it, and act with purpose anyway. In this sense, every emotion becomes a test, not of strength, but of clarity. The more you practice this, the more space you reclaim between stimulus and response. And that space is your territory. You own it, or something else will. Start small. Notice how your body tenses during disagreement. Notice how your breath shortens when plans change. These are your signals. Don't chase them, observe them. Breathe. Recenter. When you gain command of your inner world, the outer world starts to lose its grip on you. A Stoic response is not passive. It is deliberate, choosing to say less, choosing to delay judgment, choosing to let time sharpen your next move. Most people talk. Few people think. Fewer act with clarity. Train yourself to be the rare one. The modern world rewards outrage and immediacy. But a powerful man is the one who knows how to absorb impact, regulate emotion, and deliver a response with weight. That ability doesn't come from theory. It comes from daily training, from rewiring your system to wait, reflect, and then act. It's not dramatic. It's not flashy. It's subtle. It's internal. But it builds a presence that others recognize immediately, even if they don't understand why. That's the energy of someone who has reclaimed the space between impulse and action. And this is where the transformation begins. If this message is hitting something inside you, pause now and hit the like button. It's a small act, but it helps us keep delivering content that sharpens your mind and builds your discipline. Stoicism requires more than emotional control. It demands a structured life. A life where your mind is not only shielded from chaos, but sharpened against it. That strength doesn't come from avoiding pressure. It's built by embracing it with the right posture. Your daily habits either reinforce your clarity or erode it. Every morning spent distracted, every moment surrendered to useless noise, makes you more reactive. The man who cannot command his morning cannot command his life. This is why structure matters. Wake early. Sit in silence. Reflect before engaging with the world. These aren't motivational slogans. They're strategic decisions. The Stoics knew that before facing the world's disorder, the mind must first find its anchor. That anchor is forged through routine. Journaling, breath work, cold exposure, hard physical labor. Each of these actions may seem small in isolation, but collectively, they forge discipline. And discipline is the muscle that makes response possible. Reactivity is often a result of fatigue. When you're mentally scattered or physically drained, you're vulnerable. You overreact, you misjudge, you regret. Building strength through routine inoculates you from that weakness. You become the kind of man who doesn't fold under noise. You become the one who stays composed, even when the world shakes. Seneca taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. A trained mind stops catastrophizing and starts dissecting. What exactly happened? What are the facts? What can I do? That three-step sequence alone can eliminate 90% of emotional overreaction. This form of mental clarity allows you to focus only on what's useful. Not everything requires a reaction. Not every message needs a reply. Not every attack needs defense. A man who sees clearly also moves sparingly. You don't become unshakable overnight. It's built like a fortress, stone by stone, thought by thought. The words you choose, the routines you follow, the way you breathe through tension instead of collapsing under it. All of it accumulates into presence. And presence, more than power or persuasion, is what shapes how others perceive you. The quiet man who doesn't flinch, the disciplined one who doesn't gossip, the focused one who doesn't seek validation. That's what makes people pay attention. Not noise, but centered energy. This is the path of inner fortitude. It's not glamorous. It's not reactive. It's steady. And that steadiness becomes your greatest strength. Part 3. Power through restraint. In the modern world, power is often mistaken for dominance, for volume, for control over others. But true power, as the Stoics understood it, is measured by your control over yourself. A man with inner strength doesn't need to prove it. He doesn't dominate conversations. He doesn't seek revenge. He doesn't parade his success. Instead, he remains rooted. Stoicism trains this form of restraint, not as weakness, but as a higher strength. Restraint is the pause before the unnecessary argument. It's the ability to hear an insult and walk away unshaken. It's the decision to say no when the world expects yes. This form of power comes from practicing stillness, observing the noise, without contributing to it. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the most powerful empires in history. Yet his strength lay in his reflection, his humility, his notes to himself, not in the legions he commanded. The same principle applies today. The louder the world gets, the more powerful the quiet man becomes. That quiet man isn't passive, he's intentional. He chooses his battles. He doesn't flinch at provocation. He maintains standards even when no one's watching. In doing so, he becomes someone others rely on, a center of gravity in chaotic environments. This is not natural for most men. We're conditioned to react, to dominate, to prove ourselves. But that cycle keeps you reactive, which keeps you weak. Every time you respond emotionally to chaos, you reinforce dependence on external validation. The Stoic approach reverses this. You train yourself to act on principles, not pressures. When your code of conduct is clear, your decisions become automatic. You're not negotiating with your impulses every time. You're following the man you've already decided to be. That's what makes Stoicism sustainable. It's not about willpower in the moment. It's about alignment with your highest values. You live by a code that withstands mood swings, bad days, and disappointment. Restraint also applies to success. When things go well, the untrained man becomes complacent. He chases pleasure. He becomes distracted. But the trained mind stays on course. He doesn't allow comfort to derail consistency. That balance, ambition with humility, drive with composure, is what creates longevity. The Stoic doesn't burn out because he doesn't chase every fire. He chooses when to burn. And that choice is what gives him control. Part 4. The art of enduring for impact. There's a final dimension to the Stoic path, endurance. Not just surviving pain, but using it as fuel for purpose. Every challenge, every delay, every difficult person, these are not obstacles. They are your forge. Stoicism does not promise a life without hardship. It promises that through hardship, you will reveal who you truly are. Pain is not the enemy. Indifference to pain, the refusal to quit, the ability to persist without applause, these are marks of the Stoic. True endurance means showing up when it's easier to retreat. It means consistency when motivation fades. It means doing what's right even when no one acknowledges it. Why? Because your standard doesn't change with circumstance. It comes from within. You become the man who stays committed to your purpose, to your values, to the habits that build the life you seek. You don't need external validation to stay on course. You trust the process. That's what Stoic endurance looks like. Epictetus was born into slavery and still became one of the greatest philosophers in history. He couldn't control his external reality, but he owned his response to it. That ownership is the foundation of power, and that same power is available to you. In a world of distraction and dysfunction, being grounded is revolutionary. While others react, you remain composed. While others drift, you decide. While others demand, you deliver. And the final truth is this: your greatest strength is not in what you control, it's in what you choose to endure. With patience, with discipline, with conviction, that is what sets you apart. So begin now. Train your mind to respond, not react. Build your rituals. Sharpen your awareness. Commit to your code. And carry yourself not with noise, but with quiet presence. Not for attention, not for applause, but because you've seen what chaos creates, and you've chosen to be the counterforce. That is the way of the modern Stoic. That is the man you are becoming. If you made it this far, it means something in you is ready for more. So stay on this path. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment telling me what part hit hardest, and share this with a brother who needs to hear it. We're building something strong here, one lesson at a time.